Hey guys, welcome to the Dragon's Voice podcast episode. I think we're on to 23 or 24 now, so it's going somewhere amazingly. But I just wanted to say, hope you guys are keeping well, because at this moment in time, we are sort of in district areas and everything that we're going into a new lockdown of some sort. But guys, just make sure you stay safe. Always wear a mask when you go out, and just keep yourself safe. That's all we're going to ask for you guys, is just to stay safe. And hopefully one day I do want to go back into the stands and probably give abuse to one or two of the opposition players again, or just support my my Barry. But today, especially this particular person, he is the key example of why Wales need to look into Welsh Premier League talent. He is one of the key examples of how Welsh Premier League players who have gone on to bigger and better things, have gone on to play for Wales, who have gone on to play for bigger clubs. He's one of the key examples. He joins the likes of Andy Legg, Owain Tudor-Jones, Mark Delaney. He's currently the assistant manager of TNS. But he's none other than Steve Evans. Steve, how are you, pal?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Good to be on.
No worries, no worries. You know what? You were on the top 10 list for me. I got to be honest, because one of the things about you is that your story is the definition of this is why Welsh Premier League should not be overlooked. It should not be. Because you started your career playing for TNS, which then they were called Total Network Solutions. Gone on to play for Wrexham, where it's your hometown club, and then you played for Wales and everything. But I just wanted to start off. How did you start your career? Where was the starting point for you then?
Yeah, obviously as a young boy, living in Wrexham, team called Broughton Villa. So I was young, didn't have an under 10s, so they set up an under 10s. We had a decent team. Went all the way through with Broughton Villa. Obviously, playing a year up, and won numerous things, titles, trophies. We had a decent team, to be fair. It was a good competitive league in Wrexham at that time. Then the schoolboys, representing the school. Then obviously on to the North East Wales. And then as you progress, Wales, and then the likes of playing for Wrexham from a young age, then going to West Brom, getting scouted, playing for the schoolboys by Derek Mann, and then leaving school, took up YTS as it was back then at West Brom in 95, I do believe, a long time ago. And yeah, so went to West Brom, moved away, enjoyed it, but didn't enjoy being away from home. Got to admit, was a little bit of a home bird at the time. Yeah, went from being at Wrexham to West Bromwich, Sutton Coldfield at the time, sharing a house, enjoying it, but at the same time not enjoying it. So me being me, wanted everything there and then. Give it all up, basically. Give it all up. Come back home, I remember being on Wolverhampton train station. I could have gone back to one of the lads' house on the weekend, and I decided to go home and didn't go back. So that was the first major decision. Then I had a couple of years out where just playing basically for my dad on a Saturday afternoon, and playing for the local pub on a Sunday morning, and then I got banned. Not a lot of people know this, but I got banned for 3 years playing for my dad's Saturday team. I was 16, I think, at the time. Yeah, so couldn't play football. Had a few years out. Done a few things, was working, plastering, etc. And then got back into it by another bad decision of mine, which turned into why I got back into football. I won't go into that, but it turned out that I got myself back into football, got myself fit, and my brother was ironically playing for TNS at the time in 2000. I got back into football. I went to Crew at the time. I was training at Crew. They wanted to sign me, but like I said, I got banned for 3 years. So that was still applied. They asked the Welsh FA if the ban could be lifted. They said no. There was still an outstanding fine, I think. When I think it was 18 at the time, 17, 18. So I couldn't sign for Crew. So I've kept myself fit. About 6 months later, TNS, like I said, my brother was signed for TNS, was at TNS. When training, they wanted to sign me. They tried to get my ban lifted. They got it lifted. I think it was at the end anyway, roughly. And then I signed for TNS in 2000. Was it 2000? Yeah.
99, wasn't it? 1999.
99, yeah. Sorry, February 99. We had 14 games to go. I come on, I remember my debut, Newtown away. I was on the bench. Signed as a centre half, go on up front. 0-0 it was. Went on up front, ball came in, chested it down, and volleyed it into the top corner. We won 1-0. Yeah, 99, February 99. So, like I said, a long time ago. And that was the start of the journey with TNS, and obviously the journey up until then.
Yeah, because it was around about the time anyway, because from the 90s to the early 2000s, and I know we had a brief chat about it at Jenner Park, and thanks for beating us there. I kindly appreciate that. But no, but it was around about the time Barry were the dominant, like your team now. They are the dominant team in Wales, but what was it like though because you know what, I wanted to ask you from your opinion about this, and because a lot of people always ask me about the comparisons between two teams, especially Barry in that glory years, as they say, and then TNS in the now, right? There's a lot of comparisons of why was Barry so different to what TNS did, and why was Barry... Someone asked me, so why was it more appreciated back then, whereas TNS now? It was always that mentality of, oh, TNS won again. Oh, well, that's about it. But to you, because you experienced that when you were playing for TNS and you were going against Barry Town, and especially now with winning it, what are the comparisons like? Can you just elaborate or try to explain?
Yeah, and like I say, no two teams are the same, but like you say, Barry were dominant. The players they had, Mike Flynn, Yorkie, Morel up top, lots of players. Jenkins, midfield, Lloydie, just to name a few. They had, they had a few quid as well, but they were decent players. They're players who understood the game. I remember going there. I think we lost 1-0, but we were a decent team. We were just starting to come. I think we lost 1-0. I think it might have been the second season I was here. But like I say, in terms of comparisons between the clubs, I can't really say about Barry. I can only say about them on the pitch. They done the right things on the pitch. They played the right way. They had winners, and I can't say behind the scenes because I don't know.
No.
Certainly from TNS, the success we've had. It's down to the basics. It's down to players wanting to work hard. Winners. The right mentality. That you get that. Yes, I was young and I learned how to do that, and that's the same now. But like I say, if you've got that and people who are wanting to work hard and willing to run through brick walls for each other, that team spirit, then you've got half a chance.
I want to say this now then, because with Mike Harris, your boss and everything, well, the owner of the club and everything, you got any particular funny stories? Because he's a character himself, if you think of the Welsh Premier League, you think of Mike Harris some of the times. Have you got a funny story to talk about Mike Harris?
I won't talk about a story, but talk him as a character. There's too many to mention there. It's really, yeah. Listen, Mike, 10 years ahead of everybody else, without a shadow of a doubt. What was he? He was mid-30s, I think, when he took over at TNS. I think it was his. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on this, but probably had a 5-year plan or something like that. I think it was second or third year. He won the league. That was when, in the 99 season when I joined, we had 14 games to go. I think we won one, didn't lose a game, won most of them. And then obviously, again, Barry, I remember the day, we'd had finished our season on the week before or a couple of days before, and we all had a night out in Liverpool. Mike was in that night out as well. And then we all went to Connah's Quay the next day to support Connah's Quay, ironically. Funny how things go round in roundabouts. We were all there. I remember me brother, Big Timmy, Baggerite, John Toshack, Timmy Lumsden at the time, all top players. We went to obviously watch the game, and I think Andy Cale and Lee Williams had gone on their own, just in case they needed to pick the trophy up. And I know you might not like this, but Connah's Quay, I think they won. Did they win 2-1 or it was 1-1 or something like that?
It was something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was planned that Lee and Kayla was meant to pick up the trophy on the pitch. Sensible. I think we'd had a few beers on the way to the game, and we all joined in on the celebrations on the pitch with lifting the trophy, and that was the first league win. And
yeah.
So sorry to go off topic, but then that's basically where it started from. And Mike then had visions of making TNS what it was, back then. And then obviously you have the evolution of the plastic pitch, as people call it, the 3G, 4G, but it was 10 years before anybody else had it, which then gained revenue, etc. So he's like I've said it again, he was 10 years before his time.
Yeah. And with that, because it was around 2003 where the dominance, the glory, and the throne was taken away from Barry because of the finances, the problems that were going on behind the scenes. So it was now going to be who was going to take the trophy, take the league title. And I think it was in the, TNS won it, obviously, and but there were 2 or 3 other clubs like Rail, Llanelli, and Bangor. They were going after it as well. So it was very competitive for a good short period. But obviously, as the history books say, TNS took the lot. But during that time when you won the league titles or the cups and everything, you had some good, fantastic competitions ahead of you, with the Champions League. One of them was Man City and Liverpool, 2 big English Premier League teams, you know. But Man City weren't as big as they are now. But what was that like to be playing against Man City and also to be playing against the champions of Europe around that time?
Yeah, like I say, I remember. Just going on from that story, my last story. Obviously, Andy Cale was in charge when I first come, and then who by far the best coach I've ever played under. So played a massive part in my career. And then a player who I played with, who then took the reins, Ken McKenna. And we weren't as, like I say, back then it was more competitive. We weren't as dominant as, you know, what Barry were, but but Macca is the reason I went on to do what I did. Best man manager I've ever had. And he had to manage me, I'll be honest. He did have to manage me. But like I say, like I go back to what I've just said about players running through brick walls. There's not one player I don't think so, who played for Macca who wouldn't run through a brick wall for him. You know, his blood and guts, you know, you knew where you stood with him, you know, but he also knew how to set up a team. And like I say, it was competitive. We'd win the League one year, then lose it, come second, you know, correctly, real. We'd win the cup. So for a neutral point of view, it was good. For back to Mike Harris, from Mike Harris's point of view, it weren't good because we went in Champions League every year. But then we won it. And in the following season, obviously Liverpool won the Champions League. And they weren't away in there because they didn't qualify for Europe. So I think UEFA had to find a way for them to go into the competition. So they entered through the qualifying rounds. And I was injured at the time. There's about 5 or 6 of us. We were training at Vauxhalls. The lads were out training. We were all in the I think it was like the function room at Vauxhall Motors. And we had it on Sky Sports. And the draw come out and Liverpool come out. I've never seen so many unfit players sprint or jump around. We all run out to the training pitch. Liverpool. Yeah, Kenny had probably 16 players training that day. The following day he had 25. You know, that's what it was. You know, and we prepared for it, and you know, and I'd like to say probably they're the games that probably got me my move. You know, the Liverpool game. What an occasion, playing at Anfield, full house. They just won the Champions League, first game as champions. I remember going into the tunnel, standing next to Hippier. I didn't realise how big a lad he is. But, you know, playing against the likes of Gerrard, Morientes, Hippier, Alonso, you know, 3-0, you know, standing in the dugout in the tunnel beforehand, listening to "You'll Never Walk Alone." You know, it's memories you can't take away. You know, for the lads who played, disappointment for the lads who didn't play as well. Lads who had played all season. You know, so, but like I say, as a group, it was memories and great occasion for the club. You know, a couple of years before, was it before? Yeah, we played Man City.
Yeah,
did we play Man City. Yeah,
yeah, you played Man City before.
Yeah.
Oh, seem to lost you there. Oh, 1 minute, see, we lost you there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. The Man City game, I was a spectator. I didn't play. I was on the bench. I just come back from a double hernia operation. So, but like again, we played the first game at the new stadium. We all went to watch, I'm against, I think it's Barcelona, as like to get the surroundings. And then our first competitive game, I think it was against Man City, their first competitive game as well. And then down at the Millennium, my first taste of the Millennium, as it was. Like I say, great occasion for the club. 2 great ties, which put TNS on the map, really, and helped build the club to what it is today. But like I say, from my own personal achievement, Liverpool, probably the best game I've played in for TNS, which ultimately I think got me my move.
Did you get any because with players shirt swapping and everything, did you get an opportunity to swap a shirt with one of the players?
Yeah, I've got Hippiers, great defender for, and probably somebody that I was in the mould of, was aggressive, could head everything, could tackle, could defend, but could play a little as well. And Morientes, I got Morientes from the first game, Monaco, etc., Spain. He's a legend, and I just, got his shirt in the first game, and then second game got Hippier's shirt as well. I'm not sure whether I had the captain's armband, because I think he might have been captain because Gerard went off. So yeah, no, I didn't start, so I think he might have been captain. So I got them somewhere in the attic.
It's amazing because you couldn't play at Park Hall against Liverpool. You had to play at the racecourse ground in Wrexham, which is kind of poetic in a sense, because you said that it was the starting point of what got you moved to Wrexham in some ways, and you did. You went back to, played to your hometown club. You signed on for Wrexham. But what was it like to? What was happening around that time when you made the move from TNS to Wrexham? What was going on at that point?
Yeah, obviously, I was a free agent at the end of the season, and Wrexham were interested, and there's a couple of other clubs interested as well. But like I say, it's, I'm so grateful to TNS for everything. Like I say, I'm 20 years later, I'm still at the club. At the time, I was so grateful. Like I've mentioned to Andy Cale, Ken McKenna, Mike Harris, 3 of the biggest influences in my career, ever. Taught me a hell of a lot about football as well, and about other things, personal life and that. But like I say, it was an opportunity that I couldn't turn down at the time. So ended up signing for Wrexham. First couple of games, I was playing alongside Dennis Lawrence, who was a massive help, even though I was experienced in terms of age in that, but going to that environment, I weren't experienced. I was a leader at TNS. I was the main defender. I was going to Wrexham where I weren't, and that was new. That was something I had to cope with. And luckily, I had Dennis Lawrence there to help me. And that first part was massive to me, because I played against him, but then like a calming influence at the side here, because I was a little bit rah at the time. Wanted to win everything, wanted to be aggressive, whereas he was really calm, composure, which I learned as I went along. So like I say, that was massive for me. Dennis Smith, the manager, was good. With me, he was like a centre half as well. He used to talk to me. Brian Carey and Kevin Russell, all good people around me at Wrexham, and helped me settle in. That first season, I've done myself justice. And obviously, Ernst I'd heard rumours. John Toshack of Wales was looking because, like I say, I was playing well. I was doing the right things, and like I say, I'd heard rumours that he was watching, and I was just concentrating on playing, and then I got my call up. So,
And do you know, before we go on to all Wales and everything, because it is an amazing story of yours, but I've always wanted to know about this particular game that you took part in, and that was against Chester. So it was the cross-border derby, apparently a very tense rivalry at best, and I did my research. Apparently, you got sent off, which is probably noble of
this
you.
one.
So what was it like to be playing in a cross-border derby, and how tense is it? Because I think the only way I've known for it to be a tense atmosphere is when I was watching the Bootleggers vlog, where it was controversial because they did a minute silence and then it all kicked off and everything. But for you to be a player, to be playing against Chester, what was it like?
Yeah, it was massive. Like it was an early kickoff. I remember I was playing against John Waters at the time. We'd previously played him in the FAW Cup against for TNS against Wrexham, and I accidentally done his cheekbone. So that was a battle I was looking forward to. But like I say, it was my first derby, and like I say, it was an early kickoff. And like I say, you got nerves. You know, I understand the rivalry between Chester and Wrexham, being a Wrexham lad. And one I relished. I'm the kind of type of person to relish things like that. You know, like I said, I was blood and guts. I'd run through brick walls for my teammates and my team. You know, and with it being my hometown club as well, just added to that. So yeah, I remember the game. I remember the game really well. We played. I was playing against John Waters. Like I said, I think he had a bit of a what's it called, grievance to repay. Yeah, he did. To be fair, he caught me with a good one. So that was a bit of payback by him. But like I say, I caught him with a few as well. But we played. I think we went 1-0 up, or they went 1-0 up. Went 1-1. And then I had the ball, and I played Jonah in. Mark Jones, another Wrexham lad, for the second goal. Went 2-1 up, and then silly for me, I was running back at John Waters again, and I slid in and give away a free kick, yellow card. Silly. And then last, I think it's 10 minutes, something like that, I was in the corner and I gave away another silly free kick and got myself sent off. And that's the inexperience I was talking about just a minute ago, with Dennis Lawrence playing alongside me, and that composure and, you know, the experience of it, you know, and me learning as a player, as going through that. Like I said, I was experienced in terms of age and that for TNS, but in that environment I weren't, and that's something I learned quite quickly. But yeah, that was my first experience of the derby, and you know, we won 2-1. So I remember going to getting sent off and having to go into the dressing room. Yeah, the dressing room weren't a pretty sight, I'll be honest. When the players come back in, I'd chucked a few things and was, like I say, pissed off with myself. But like I say, we won. And that, you know, it was a good time. One of that derby I played in. The only other derby I played in, I think, was at the racecourse. We drew 1-1, I think. It was when Roberto Martinez was playing for them. But yeah, like I say, that rivalry, it's like I say, there's added, you've got that extra 10% to run. You got that extra 10% to go through somebody if you need to win that ball. That's what I was.
And let's get on to it then. Wales, from Welsh Premier League to Wrexham in the Football League to Wales. Now, John Toshack, he gave you the call up, and you're going to be playing with the likes of Brian Giggs, Brian Giggs and that. But it was around about that time that when John Toshack took over as manager, it wasn't the best of time. Well, it wasn't the best of times for Wales, but I don't know for you, because it was an honour to play for Wales. I mean, I would have been honoured to have played for my country, even though I probably wouldn't last 2 minutes on the field. But what was it like to get the call up? But also, what was it like in the dressing room for Wales?
Yeah, I think we played Bury the day before, or on the Friday night, and then I had an inkling. Where they've had a few injuries, I could possibly get a call up. So I got a call up, and it was on the Sunday night, a Sunday afternoon, Geraint Parry from Wrexham. Give me a call. So I said, can you meet up with Wales? They were at Carden Park. They were playing Liechtenstein at the racecourse. So I said, yeah, no problem. So I went to Carden Park. Mrs. dropped me off. Looking round to find someone, and finally got me room. Went to the room. Happened to bump into John Toshack on the way. He said, hello, how you doing? All right, yeah. Me nervous as hell. Yeah, all right, yeah, good. So just went to my room. I was room with Joe Ledley.
Oh, yeah.
So I went into the room. First time I met Joe. Great lad. Speaking to him, talking. But I was starving. They just ate. I'd missed dinner. I had net all day. And I was starving, and I was like, Joe, I'm going to have to order some food. So could I? So I said, what do I do? It's new to me. Like, he said, just phone reception, ask them to come. So I said, oh, okay. So I said, I'll order 6 tuna sandwiches. I asked if he wanted some. So he said, yeah, 6 chicken sandwiches. So me expecting just, 6 of the small triangles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ordered them 2 big platefuls of full chicken sandwiches and full tuna sandwiches. So I had a few of them. So yeah, so they brought them instead of. So that's what I had to eat that night before training on the Monday. So straight into training at Collier's, which environments I was used to on the coach. So I get off, and then I'm in a training session with Ryan Giggs, Earnshaw, Bellamy, Bale, Collins, Ledley, Robinson, all players I've watched. And, I didn't, I'd gone from playing 6 months previous to in Avonlido, places like Kevin Druids, at the time, to then obviously being up, sharing the pitch with the likes of the players I've mentioned.
Yeah.
So we had a training session. Did okay in the training session. It weren't much too much because we were playing the next day. Finished the training session. Got back on the bus, sitting at roughly the middle as you do, a newbie. So got off the bus, and as I'm getting off the bus, John Toshack says to me, how'd you like to play for your country, son? Well, I'd fucking love to. Pardon me French, but that's what I said. And that was it. done a few interviews, told a few people, and then the game and the game environment. And obviously I knew the surroundings in Wrexham because we was at Wrexham, which made it easier. Trying to talk to the lads, not a lot of conversation, I'll be honest, because I didn't really know anybody. I knew Bellamy from the youth days, but not like to talk to. But went on the pitch, warmed up. Like I said previous, I gone 6 months playing in the League of Wales to then doing the warm up and getting named in the team, and then we're in a circle, and I've got Rob Earnshaw, as players do, test you, wrapping balls straight in at me, and my first touch, he wraps it into me, it comes off my shin and goes out the circle, and you can just sense the feeling of, oh my God, what have we got here? The players, as you do, but luckily enough, I'm big enough and I got broad shoulders, started the national anthem. I just remember standing there, sucking everything in, standing tall, and that's the proudest moments I've ever had on a football field. Lining up, listening to the national anthem. I'm ashamed to say I didn't know it at that time, but it's the proudest moment I had on a football field, sucking everything in, the atmosphere, and then we played the game. Nothing will compare to that. And then we played the game, and I played well. I did play well, and that was the start of the journey, as they say, with my Welsh. Yes, like you mentioned, I was lucky at the time because they were struggling with injuries. Gabs was injured, Collins was in and out injury-wise. Nyatanga was coming in, but they didn't really have nobody else. So, yeah, I was lucky. I understand that. I think the public understands that, to where they are now, But from my point of view, I took it with two hands. I got an opportunity. I took it with two hands, and that's where that journey started.
You know what? I just seen just the look of your face, just your eyes were telling the story. How you just going back to that day, and it's a problem, and it's amazing how far we've come as well as a team, as a national team as well. Because you said yourself. I mean, you shared the room with one of the players, Joe Ledley, who goes on to getting Wales to the semi-finals of the Euros. Gareth Bale, who comes a superstar. There's other players as well that have come in, youngsters, only you could call them puppies or pups, and they go on to bigger and better things. And then next there's a game against Ireland, which you played against Northern Ireland, I think it was, but it was against Ireland, and I wish I was there. I had the opportunity. Someone tried to give me a ticket, and I said no, and I wish I was there. But it was that game after the Euros where everyone was in the City Stadium, and all the players are lined up. The national anthem starts, and then all of a sudden, music stops. Let them sing it, and then you could just hear it probably from across Wales. You could just hear that song singing proudly, and it showed. Oh,
Republic, was it? Republic at Croke Park.
No, I think it was at the City Stadium. It was against Ireland at the City Stadium.
Yeah, that was longer.
Yeah, and then I just remember being in a pub with a mate of mine who was raised in Ireland, and so he was there going, oh yeah, but he knew as soon as the anthem started. I remember everyone in the pub just silence, shushing, and as the anthem came off, and everyone heard the song going, and the fans just going for it, and we were all just praising, and it just shows how much, how far we've come and how much you've won them back. It's amazing, incredible.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a little story. I roomed with Danny Quay after that, goalkeeper. After my first game, and like I said, I was ashamed I didn't know the national anthem. So I don't know Welsh, but he knew the national anthem, and he learnt it me, and that's how I know the national anthem now, you know. So, but then I went on and done it because I was amazed how many players didn't sing it. You know, I was in a line. I didn't know the national anthem, and I was ashamed. I stood there and I was proud, you know, and like I said, it was the proudest moment. But I was ashamed that I didn't know the national anthem. So I made sure I went and learned that national anthem. But it weren't compulsory back then. And like I was on a coaching course a lot of years later, and something I said to Oshin Roberts was that the players should be made to sing it, which I think that the process was already in place anyway, you know, and I think they should, and it's compulsory now. You know, you look at all the age groups all the way through now, every single player knows that anthem, which is a great thing. And like you said, it resonates with the player, with the fans, you know, and it brings the fans in. And you look at the Euros, you look at everything Wales have gone on to do, and now, you know, I remember playing in a game against San Marino at the Millennium with, I think it was 10,000 people there. It looked like 5 people because how big it was, you know. And it's a big stadium to fill, but you look at the rugby, they fill.
Oh, he's gone again.
Obviously, the cities.
One minute, Steve, you went again. What was
that
again? What was you saying? Because you went off.
Yeah, so I remember playing it. Yeah, I remember playing against San Marino, and there was like 10,000 people there, but it looked like 5 people, you know, in the Millennium. And now, obviously, that's the City Stadium, and it's a full house. It's packed, but even, you know, getting every player to sing that national anthem and sing it with pride, by the way, you know, it gives, like I talked about, giving that little bit extra for Wrexham and for Wales, you know, it gives you that little bit extra. You know, you want to go and do it. It gives you that. It makes you 5 foot taller. You know, it gives you that little bit of more energy, and I think that's massive. And how Wales has involved, and you know, and the likes of, you know, your Bales, your Ledleys, your Gunters, you know, your Collins, you know, all them players have seen that and grown with that, and grown with how the Welsh team has grown, and they're connecting, obviously, with the media and everything, with the fans, and we're in a very, very good place now, you know, a very good place. It started with Toshack, who got a lot of stick at times, but it started with him bringing all them young ones, and then with Speedy, and then with Hughes, Coleman, you know, and now with Giggs. You know, that process has carried on, and we're in a very, very good place now, I believe.
You know, with Ryan Giggs, you know, he's, even though his caps, I think it's decent for him that he's earned so many caps anyway, regardless. But there's so much criticism that he was given because of his commitment to the national team, playing in friendlies or something like that now. But do you think he's, I don't know, because you've played with him, so I don't know for sure. But do you think he's won the hearts, he's won the fans back because he's pulled the team, you know, where after the Euros is how can we top this, or how can we get better? And Ryan Giggs came in, even though the only experience he's had is from Man United and everything, and he's gone, right, I'm in a position here where the fans are not really fond of me at the moment. I'm in a position where I got to lead the country, I got to lead the example, I got to show patriotism and all that, or everything really. Do you think he's won them back now because of what's happened?
Yeah, well, results will determine that as well, But you look, Welsh football's in a good place, I believe, at the moment, and that's credit to all the people I've just said, all the managers I've just said, and Chris done great in Euros, and then now Ryan's got the job to try and go above that now, which I think he will do, and we will. I do believe, yeah, like I say, it's a results business. If we're winning and we're qualifying for tournaments, then everybody's going to be, getting behind the team. So I think we're well on the way to be doing that.
And just going on to your career, so you've earned around 7 caps, and you became winning history of being the first non-league player to play for your international side. But I'll go back to Wales for a moment, because I want to know, because you got that because Wrexham went down. But I want to know this one particular game before I go back into Wales. And I remember watching it, and it was very big for Wrexham, and it was a big moment. It was on Sky Sports, and Brynlaw was doing the commentating of feedbacks on Soccer Saturday. It was Wrexham v Boston United. Big game, both teams up for the relegation, and you had Brian Valentine, who was playing for Bala, who was there, and a couple of players as well. How big, even though I probably know it's probably big enough for Wrexham, but how tense and how big and how much of a moment it was to be playing in that game?
Yeah, it was a massive game, do or die, it was, we went 1-0 down. I think I missed a header, and the lad ran through and scored. Went 1-0 down, and half-time team talk, it was a full house at Wrexham. I think it's 10 or 12,000 there. And then we come out second half, and we dominated. And, Ryan scored the pen. I think I won the header from a corner. The keeper saved it, and then I think Dagger got pulled down for the pen. Ryan slotted it, and then we went on from there. And Izzy scored, took his shirt off, got another shirt, a size 7, I think, age 7 shirt, 3 seasons before shirt, and he was playing in that. I think he had number 7 on the back.
Where's my shirt?
So he ended up playing in that. I don't know how it was allowed, and then obviously got the ball, done a Rabona, flipped it to the back stick. I think it was Proctor, Michael Proctor scored. I think it was him.
Yeah.
To make it 3-1, and celebrations at the end. All the players, all the fans on the pitch. I remember going up to the director's box, standing in there with me, Robbo, and Dagger. Yes, at the time it was euphoria, because you stay up, but as well, when you look back, it's a bad taste in the mouth for me, because we didn't perform. We stayed up, we didn't perform. Like I say, that first season, I personally had a good season, but as a whole, we didn't perform. Second season, weren't good enough, and third season is, second season, that's where all the problems are. So it leaves a bad taste. Yes, it was great, but when you look back, I'm part of the reason why they're still in the conference. 13 years later, so that leaves a bad taste in in my mouth. That's one of my, downsides, regrets of my playing career. Probably one of the worst, if I'm honest. So, like I say, yes, that game, that Boston game, do or die, give everything. We won, we come through it, but the writing was on the wall. As players, did we perform as well as we could have done? Probably not really, because, like you say, Wrexham are where they are. Partly, and I feel partly responsible for that, and that's not a good taste in my mouth. I'm a Wrexham lad, and everything I've talked about, about doing extra and all that, it's not good enough. But then, like I say, now, it could be a Hollywood movie, as you say.
Yeah.
With the introduction of Ryan Reynolds, and if that does come off, then like I say, like I was saying, the fans deserve more. The Wrexham fans, the following they get is unbelievable for like where they are at the moment. But if they can get this investment and it does go through, then it'll be great for the club, be great for the town, and it'll be great for the fans, because they do deserve more.
Yeah, and
and the person the person who you mentioned at the very start, bootlegger, he possibly could get a movie deal out of it. I think everybody will be saying that, getting him on that.
Oh yeah, obviously he's going to be the biggest deal ever. Hollywood contract and everything, right? Is Pilsner sponsored and everything, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Ryan Reynolds and the bootleggers are holy grail. What is it with Wrexham getting the best stuff?
I know, yeah, great. Brilliant. But again, he's been brilliant for Wrexham as well. With his videos and everything. So all the best to him, I say.
Yeah. So going back to Wales, you were the first non-league player to go and play for Wales and everything, and it was against Russia. But around about that time, it happened to be one of the last games you played for Wales. Yeah, is that right? And so what was it like to be that? I always ask these questions. What was it like to be the non-league player? And sometimes it doesn't bother, because you're still playing for your country, you're still here to do a job. But at that time, because it doesn't normally happen, especially in today's climate of football and everything. But what was it like to play for Wrexham in the non-league and then playing for your country?
Yeah, like I said, it's a great honour. Yeah, to be first person 76 years to represent the country as a non-league player. But like I say, I was just trying to work hard for Wrexham and obviously get me opportunity. I got injured in that second season for Wrexham, which hindered me, which paved the way for Ashley Williams to come into the Welsh squad. And, his career went from strength to strength. He was at Stockport and then went to Swansea, and great captain for Wales, great leader. Like I say, like I said at the start, for me, I weren't bothered. I was just happy being part of it all, and and that was my last game. I come on as sub, and it was 1-1, and I didn't do nothing wrong. It wasn't my fault, but we lost the game 2-1. So, another bitter taste in your mouth. Not great. I don't like losing. But like I say, it was great while it lasted. And it's every player's dream. It's the highest level anybody can play. Whether it's for Wales, whether it's for Brazil, whether it's for San Marino, to represent your country is the greatest honour in football. Period. At any sport, at any level. I've represented Wales at non-league level as well. You know, I played 3 seasons, you know, 7 or 8, 9 times for the non-league Welsh squad. You know, to represent your country at any level, at any sport, is the highest accolade you can have. And like I say, I managed to do that 7 times. And I remember on the conversation, John Toshack, we got back to Cardiff, we were at the Vale, come into the room, sat on the end of the bed, talking to me, and just said, listen, you won't be coming, I think we had another game, and he said, you won't be coming away, but you need to go back and do everything you possibly can to help Wrexham, you know, to get them and move them away from the bottom. And like I say, I went back, and I was starting to get back to where I was in the first season, playing really, really well. We were on a run, unbeaten in 9 games or something like that. I done me medial against Peterborough. I was out for a while, and then come back too early and weren't quite the player I was, and that's when we went down. I believe I would have had a massive say if I would have been able to keep fit. I would have had a massive say in keeping Wrexham up that season, because the first season I was riding that wave. Second season, you know, a little bit of a lull, but then started to play to what I was playing like in that first season, and then I got injured. Then I was always playing catch up and come back too soon. My knee wasn't right, but I truly believe if I would have had kept fit, I would have played a massive part in keeping Wrexham up. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be, and obviously that's where we're at today.
Yeah. Well, I got a few last questions here anyway, and if anyone, like I said, this is all going to be recorded, so anyone who was watching this, apologies for the signal. Both of us, really, but I'm glad you're still watching because it's a brilliant chat it is, Steve. And but going on to afterwards, when you left Wrexham, was it always inevitable that you were going to return to TNS?
Yeah, well, Dean Saunders come in at Wrexham, and I was thinking Wales, Wrexham, oh great. But it didn't work out. Said I could go, so you know I could have stayed and fought for my position, but he made it quite clear that weren't really going to happen. So possibly took not the easy one, but as a player to then go back to TNS. But I was familiar with TNS, you know, I knew TNS. I actually then went back to TNS and back under Andy Cale, and became a better player, actually. Became a better player. Because that was almost the start of my journey into management, my journey into coaching. Because Andy Cale, like I said, is the best coach I've ever had. And he's a mentor to me. And he was at TNS at the time when along with Mike. So I got coached again. I had all that experience I've just had with Wrexham and Wales. And for the end of that season, I went back. I think it was in February again. I went back, and then for the next season, I personally thought I became a better player than I was previous, because I weren't just lumping the ball. I was playing football. I was playing more football, and I started, like with Kalo, started to understand my experiences and that composure of everything, and understand the game better. You know, all the experience I'd had with Wales and seen it, and almost took a step back and seen it, because when you're in the moment, you don't necessarily see everything. But when you reflect, and I take everything in, and I became an actual better player. I understood the game better. You know, that's massively down to Kalo, and then to Darlow, who then came in. You know, And that's when I came back, and that's where I am today. That was the start of my journey into management.
So, like I said, I had so many questions here as well. Like it was amazing how many we've covered, really, and we've almost covered a full hour as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And but I've got two last questions here for you. So I think the first one is, without a doubt, I was going to ask you this before we were going to start this podcast anyway. Is that and I'll read this out now. So you're one of the reasons why the Welsh Premier League is it shouldn't be overlooked. It shouldn't be, taken as a joke or taken as a laugh, because the likes of Mark Delaney, Owain Tudor-Jones, Andy Legg, etc., they've all come from the Welsh League, and they've all gone on to play for Wales, and they've gone on to better clubs, and they've always come back to, like yourself, you've come back to TNS and everything. So how can the Welsh Premier League, or the Cymru Premier as it's now called, be taken seriously to get some talent to be playing for Wales?
Well, it's you look at I think you're correct. I think people do see it like almost a little bit as a joke kind of thing, but there's plenty of talent in there. You look at Ryan Hedges. Ryan Hedges was at Flint, when I was managing the youth, played against the Flint youth, was on the fringes of their first team, was playing for their first team. I went to Swansea. You look at Rhys Elliott, Connah's Quay youth, Tom Bradshaw, ABBA. You look at Owen Tudor-Jones, myself, like you mentioned. There's players there. There's rough diamonds. There is players that can go on, have league careers, have international careers. Half the time they need a chance. But I believe, with the media coverage from Scorio and that now, ourselves and that in Europe, the Embrew Cup as well, the platform to then showcase their ability is getting bigger. So, I like I say, I think I do believe, like you said, I do believe people are a little bit sceptical at times of the league, but there's definitely talent in the league, and the league's definitely getting better. Because as well, like I've talked about the coaching journey of most of the coaches now with the trust, with Darlow, with Oshin, obviously Oshin's left, Dave Adams now. That pathway, that coaching, coaches are better, players will get better, pardon me, teams will get better because they're better organised, so there's talent out there. They just need to, if people want to look, then there's definitely talent out there.
And final question for you then, Steve. I always ask this to every single person, every single guest that come on the show. How do you look back on your career?
Both fondly and I think I've said it in this interview, with pride, and this is like my experiences, as a coach, as a manager, and that, how I look back. Did I do enough? When I had that chance, did I do enough to sustain it? Did I do the right things? Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't, and players will always have that, but like I say, I look back, I'm so proud of what I did, what I achieved as a player. Have I got regrets? Yeah, as everybody. You can't live in the past. You've got to look to the future, and the here and now. So looking back on my career, yeah, I'm proud. There's not many players represented the country, represented their hometown. Won what I've won in football, in domestic Welsh football. I'd say there's probably only 2 or 3 that I've probably won more. You know, Scott Ruskell's probably one of them. There's not many more that have won more than me, combined as a player, as a coach.
Yeah.
You know, so players say, yeah, you've played at TNS, but like we said at the start, the chairman's 10 years ahead of everybody else. You know, when it comes to Revolution TNS, you know, it's took everybody else 10 years to actually catch up and, you know, try and get back on a par with us. You know, so now it's for us to then move forward. But yeah, looking back on my career, yeah, with pride, you know, I'm proud of it. You know, got regrets, but like I say, I learn them, the negatives, you know, I put them to positives because now I can give my experiences to young lads coming through and make sure they don't make the mistakes where I did, or give them that advice that, yeah, that's good, keep going, you know, you need to do this, you need to do X, Y, Z to get to where you need to be. Because in football, it's not, you ride a wave, yeah, it's sustaining that wave, yeah. It's so easy to get above yourself to then drop off, you know. You look at the top players, look at Ronaldo, you know. I always found the higher you go, the harder the players work as well. Yeah, you look at Bellamy, you look at all them players that sustain it. They're the most hard-working players you can have. You know now players at Welsh Prem level, if they want to get to where I got to and to where all the other players get to, hard work, dedication, you know, and they'll get there if they've got the ability. Don't get me wrong, they've got to have ability as well, but if they've got that desire and that drive, you know, and they're willing to take a few knocks, they're willing to be told no, yeah, but willing to dust themselves off and get on that ladder again and work hard, then you've got half a chance. So that'll definitely be my advice to young players: work hard, dedication, and if you've got the ability, you know, that's only a small part of it now, the ability, because as long as you're an athlete and you've got that dedication, you work hard, then you've got half a chance.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for coming on the Dragon's Voice podcast and just to talk about your stories, where you've come from and everything. It is a proper fairy tale story just to come from the Welsh League into the Wales national team, and it means a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks a lot for having me. Been a pleasure.
No worries. So then, guys, that is it. That was Steve Evans on the Dragon's Voice podcast, and again, I do apologise for the every time the signal went and everything, because it is very difficult when you're trying to do stuff and everything for you guys. But I'm very grateful that Steve has just found the time for an hour to have a chat and for you guys just to watch and listen and everything. So it does mean a lot. But guys, please stay safe. You know, football will come back and you will be going into the ground soon. And then hopefully one day that if Barry play against TNS again, then I could just go, "Oi, Steve," and now I'm in the stands. He could turn and go, "Oh, here we go." But anyway, all the best for the season, Steve. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
And guys, thanks so much for tuning into the Dragon's Voice podcast. I've been your host, Julie Rees Deans, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.